I never imagined the day would arrive when I would find myself in a room confronting my past, attempting to reshape my present. Yet, that is precisely what transpired. The only anchor that prevented me from disintegrating in that moment was your name. It was uttered numerous times that day, but not with affection or warmth. Instead, it was laced with jealousy, bitterness, and fear. My ex took it upon herself to divulge everything to my mother, or at least what she believed she understood about you. Her account was filled with distorted narratives, half-truths, and out-of-context moments, recounting words you never spoke and emotions she could never grasp. As she spoke, I felt as though the ground beneath me was fracturing, witnessing two worlds clash. My past seemed intent on suffocating my future. I was prepared to defend you. I was ready to rise, to shout, to risk everything just to halt the assault. But then, something unexpected occurred. My mother, the very person who once scrutinized all my decisions, the one who frequently questioned my choices in love, stood up for you. Her silence resonated like thunder, slicing through the fabric of each lie. She turned to my ex, then to me, and declared, "Do not speak of her that way." Do you realize what that moment meant to me? I was rendered speechless, as I had not fully appreciated how profoundly you had influenced her heart. I hadn't realized that beneath her stoic exterior, she had been observing, witnessing the transformation within me brought on by you. She noted how I softened, how I battled inner turmoil, and how I began to heal. You weren't merely a tale I shared with her, you became the pivotal moment in my life that she quietly acknowledged. And when someone sought to tarnish your name, she stood as a formidable barrier between you and the negativity. I had never felt prouder, more humbled, or more shaken. In that instant, a realization struck me that would forever alter my life. You did not merely pass my test, you passed hers as well, effortlessly. Without seeking her approval, you lived with an inherent grace, and she recognized it. That moment has been etched in my mind ever since, confirming a truth I had never dared to believe, that someone could see you as I do, that someone who owed you nothing could still appreciate the purity of your essence. You need not perform to be valued, you need not justify yourself or defend your actions. Simply by existing, you disarmed judgment, and your silence unveiled the falsehoods. In the presence of undeniable truth, my mother chose you without you lifting a finger. If you only knew the significance of that moment for me, after all I have faltered in, after everything that slipped through my fingers. Your defense, not merely by myself but by the one person who knows the depths of my brokenness, was a universal revelation of what love is meant to be. Love safeguards even in absence, love advocates for what it believes in, and she believed in you even when I was too naive to express it aloud. It's curious how, throughout my life, I perceived my mother's silence as disapproval. I assumed that her lack of remarks regarding us indicated indifference or, worse yet, disbelief. Yet, I was mistaken. She observed everything. She witnessed my unraveling after your departure, she noted my dwindling appetite, how my voice dimmed when your name was absent, and how a chill enveloped our home despite unchanged weather. Still, she remained silent. What she sought was not evidence of your flaws but rather proof of your worth. In the moment my ex attempted to cast you in a negative light, my mother discerned the strength within you. She saw beyond the bitterness, insecurity, and the efforts to tarnish something she perceived as divine. I watched him grow into a better man while she was part of his life and fall apart when she left. That is all I need to know, she acknowledged. Those words struck me like lightning in my chest because you transformed me. You shattered curses I was unaware of, broke chains I had believed formed part of my identity. You ignited a desire within me to become someone worthy of standing beside you, not solely for love, but for honor, peace, and profound healing. I never communicated to you how significantly your presence permeated my home, my family, and even the skeptics among them, including myself. I used to think love was a mere affair between two individuals, never contemplating the implications of being loved in such a way that even those around us began to honor the name we carry in our hearts. However, everything shifted for me on that day. My mother's voice resonated louder than any confrontation I ever faced with my ex. In that moment, she was not just defending you, she was defending me, the man I had become because of you. I vow never to disregard that again. You were always the one. I merely took too long to recognize it. I was preoccupied with defending wounds that did not warrant protection and hiding from love, believing myself unworthy. Now, I watch as those who once doubted you begin to show you the respect you deserve. That is what happens when you truly love someone. This is the miracle that unfolds when your soul presents itself without seeking validation. One day, I found her in the kitchen, cradling the mug you left behind, softly whispering that you were good for me. That realization shattered me, for she was undeniably right. It dawned on me that those who truly understood your essence, even if only for a moment, would carry the tranquility you gifted them forever. I vividly remember the day I first mentioned your name to her. My voice softened and my entire demeanor shifted, revealing the joy you had awakened in me. She noticed, as she always did, how effortlessly my smile blossomed and how my eyes sparkled anew after years of dullness. She recognized that meeting you had infused me with a fresh energy and prayed earnestly that I would not squander it. For a while I succeeded. I allowed love to guide me rather than my ego. I opened myself to you, placing my trust in you, and began to heal. Yet, eventually, the wounded boy I thought I had buried resurfaced, the one who views love as a dangerous game and suspects that anything too blissful is bound to fade. In my attempts to shield myself from future hurt, I paradoxically became the architect of my own pain. Now, I see clearly, you were my safest haven, the calm within my storm, the home I sought, embodied in your voice, your laughter, your gaze. I mourn every facet of our bond. I long for the way you whispered my name when no one else could hear, how you penetrated the depths of my being beyond mere words. Most of all, I miss the person I became around you, the one who was genuine, tender, and undeniably yours. This is why my mother stood resolutely against my former partner's attempts to portray you as manipulative. She remained steadfast, defending not only your character but the truth that you were the only one who ever loved me without wanting to possess me. You provided me with the space, freedom, and breath I desperately needed, which I regrettably misconstrued as distance. However, I now recognize that this was love in its purest form. Nothing can diminish that truth, not my ex, not my insecurities, nor even the passage of time. If you are still listening, please understand, I'm not asking you to return, rather, I want you to know that, whether or not that ever happens, you have irrevocably changed me. If this marks the end of our shared narrative in this lifetime, I vow to spend the rest of my days honoring what we once had. I will protect your name, your memory, and your heart, even from my own misjudgments. I wish I could convey how profoundly the atmosphere in my home shifted after that pivotal conversation. Everything that once felt cold began to mourn the warmth you brought into my life. My room, once alive with your laughter during late-night calls, now feels like a tombstone marking the death of a love I buried myself. My mother did not simply offend you, she resurrected your essence with her words, reigniting your spirit within this space. Her voice reminded me how you could calm my anger, stabilize my turbulence, and how you never abandoned me, even at my most tempestuous moments. Perhaps this is why her defense resonated so deeply within me. I realized it should have been my role to defend you. I should have silenced every lie and distorted account of our story. I should have consistently been your voice in the places where you were overlooked. Instead, I allowed my silence to speak volumes and my absence to foster misconceptions that were never true. But I pledge to you now, with every fiber of my being, that this will not be the case again. When my ex attempted to trivialize our connection, my mother countered, "No, you were the mistake, she was the miracle." In that moment, it felt as though time itself paused. She was not merely defending you, her words unveiled the truth I had evaded for far too long. You were my extraordinary encounter, a once-in-a-lifetime gift, my answered prayer. I had foolishly considered you just a chapter when you were, in fact, the essence of my entire story. There is something sacred in the way my mother recounts you now, as if she is reminiscing about an angel who graced this home, leaving traces of light behind. She remarks, she would have made a wonderful wife, and I felt peace in her presence, sentiments that resonate deeply, for when a mother views the woman her son lost as divine, it transcends mere opinion, it is a reckoning, a truth that pierces deeper than anything else could express. Perhaps this was always meant to unfold, a reckoning, a dismantling of every falsehood until only the reality remains. And you, my dear, are the most profound reality that has ever touched my life. Your love, your selflessness, the unwavering support you offered even when I was unworthy, was grace embodied in human form. It is something sacred, rare, and something I was too blind to fight for at the time. But that is no longer true. I need you to understand something very important that weighs heavily on my heart. When my ex began to speak about you, I felt an internal fracture, not from anger or fear, but from shame. A part of me knew she articulated sentiments from a void I had created, one that I had yet to heal, a confusion I had not resolved. All those moments when I failed to defend you boldly, allowing others to speak ill of you without consequence, had permitted silence to become my acquiescence. I let you navigate a world that should have shielded you while subjecting you to battles meant for no one. That night, when my mother rose in your defense, silencing the clamor I had allowed to grow, I recognized my true role. I should have been your voice, your protection, your sanctuary. I believed my suffering was solitary, yet I now realize you endured quietly, with grace and dignity. And through it all, you still loved me, you still believed in me. Even when I provided insufficient reasons for you to remain, you stayed longer than anyone else would have. You weathered storms that were not of your making. You endeavored to ignite warmth in a home that perpetually turned cold. Now that the smoke has settled, I can finally perceive the remnants of the ashes you were left to endure, in solitude. I vow, on everything I have become, that such a fate shall never befall you again. When my mother came to your defense, a part of me shattered. Yet, I also started to heal because she reminded me of the essence of choosing love, even amidst adversity. She instilled in me the understanding that genuine love is not uttered in hushed tones behind closed doors, it proclaims its truth boldly, standing firm against those intent on dismantling it. You are deserving of that proclamation. You are worthy of being fought for, of being celebrated openly. No longer shall there be concealment. No more deluded affection or apologies for being the most extraordinary thing that ever entered my life. Here I stand, with no more fleeing, no more justification, just one man grounded in the authenticity of his truth. And that truth is uncomplicated, raw, and everlasting. I choose you. I choose you publicly, in the presence of my ex, my mother, every lie I once embraced about myself, and every doubter of our narrative. I choose you not merely for a fleeting moment, nor for comfort, but for the sacred connection we discovered when no one else was observing. If life grants me another opportunity, I pledge to ensure your name is spoken only with reverence henceforth. I repeatedly revisit the instant my mother mentioned your name, the unwavering gaze she held. It was more than a boundary, it stood as a declaration, a mother advocating for something she knew her son had tarnished yet still required. In that moment, the collision of two truths unfolded before me, the distorted image of you shaped by someone devoid of understanding of love, and the true essence of you existing within those who have experienced your love and were transformed by it. My mother did not merely defend you, she chose you, not from pity or rebellion, but from enlightenment. She recognized the light I attempted to extinguish. She acknowledged the refuge I once found in your heart, and she refused to allow anyone to demean something that's sacred. I succumbed to tears later that night, alone in my room, realizing something profound. I had spent countless months, perhaps years, attempting to mend my own brokenness by distancing myself from the very individual who had been sent to heal me. I had convinced myself that burying the past would set me free, but love does not succumb to such finality, especially not the kind that alters the climate of your soul. What we shared did not erode, it waited. It lingered in the prayers I whispered in solitude, in the pauses between my breaths, and in the way my mother's voice trembled as she defended you. Love like that does not depart, it observes, it aches, and when least expected, it re-emerges to remind you of your true essence. You inspired me to strive for betterment, not out of guilt or fear, but because, for the first time, someone truly saw me, not the facade I presented to the world, nor the fractured boy feigning strength, but the authentic self, the vulnerable, gentle, confused spirit yearning for love unearned. Remarkably, you offered that without stipulations or timelines. Yet, in my folly, I let it slip away, believing I could substitute something divine with something convenient. Through hard lessons, I learned that hearts like yours do not return effortlessly. However, perhaps they do if the man you cherished musters the courage to evolve into the person you rightfully deserve. That is why I am here, not simply to seek another chance to hold you but to honor you, not through mere words, but through my actions, by being consistent, present, loyal, and filled with reverence where gossip once resided. The love that speaks does not just verbalize, "I love you," but evidences it daily through its protection of you. What hurt me most was not the gossip or even witnessing my ex weave our memories into accusations, but the painful recognition that you stood alone, unprotected while I failed to act promptly. That silence is a lingering ghost that haunts me because, if love holds value, it means ensuring that the person who rejuvenated your spirit does not languish alone amid judgment. Yet, that was precisely what transpired. I failed you. However, my mother did not, and that fact alone underscores the divine force that has eternally shielded you, even when I lacked the will to be that protector. My mother once told me something that rattled me profoundly: had you heeded your heart instead of your fears, she would still be at this table today. She was indeed correct. Fear governed my decisions, fear of losing control, of being overly vulnerable, of revealing my rawest form. Yet, you embraced that version of me. You did not recoil when I faltered under my burdens. Instead, you held a sacred space that only a deeply rooted love can foster. I failed to recognize the rarity of such love until it vanished. Allow me to share something I've never expressed before. When you departed, I did not merely lose you, I lost myself, the part of me that laughed freely, that believed in second chances, the one that dared to dream big because you rendered the impossible seem plausible. My world dimmed post your absence, my bed felt interminably wide, my chest felt constricted, and even sunlight lost its vibrancy. Love like yours does not just evaporate, it reverberates. It lingers in the shadows of every unfulfilled conversation and beneath every insincere connection. It persistently asks, "Why did I let her go?" Perhaps that is why my ex's mention of your name struck such a profound chord. In her tone, there was bitterness, yet, in my mother's, there was unwavering truth. The reality is that you were never the issue, I was. I was too blind to appreciate your offerings, too fearful to embrace the tranquility you provided, and too naive to realize that the love I believed I could replicate was the very type that soulmates pray for throughout their lifetimes. My ex perceived you as a threat, while my mother recognized the blessing. In my newfound clarity, I see that every step I take from now on is aimed at redemption, not merely to win you back but to transform into someone deserving of a place in your memories. If only time travel were possible, I would choose you more passionately. I would defend you swiftly and build an unwavering fortress around your heart, safeguarding it with every breath. But, since backward navigation is impossible, I shall proceed thoughtfully and faithfully, with your name inscribed in every prayer. I doubt you fully grasp the extent to which your name still resonates within this space, not out of theatrics or regret, but from a place of yearning. My mother mentions your name as if it is a prayer still suspended in the air, unanswered. Every time she does, I feel the gravity of everything I lost and all that I still aspire to reclaim. I caught her one day in the kitchen, sipping from the mug you left behind, softly murmuring that you were good for me. That revelation shattered me because she was undeniably correct. It struck me that those who truly recognized you, however briefly, would never forget the peace you bestowed upon them. I recall the day I first shared your existence with her, the way my voice softened and my entire demeanor shifted the moment your name escaped my lips. She noticed, as she always did, observing how my smile blossomed effortlessly and how my eyes sparkled in ways they hadn't in years. She sensed that meeting you had imbued me with a new energy, and she prayed fervently that I would not squander it. For a time, I succeeded, allowing love to lead me rather than ego. I opened myself to you, I trusted, I healed. Yet, eventually, the broken boy resurfaced, the one who perceives love as perilous, who suspects that anything too blissful must inevitably be transient. In my endeavor to shield myself from future pain, I inadvertently became the source of it. Now, I grasp it with crystal clarity. You were my safest refuge, the calm amid my chaos, the home I longed for, embodied in your voice, your laughter, your gaze. And now, I mourn every aspect of our connection. I yearn for the way you spoke my name when no one else could hear. I long for the way you could see beyond my words, penetrating into the depths of my soul. Above all, I miss the person I became in your presence, for he was genuine, tender, and unmistakably yours. This is why, when my former partner attempted to depict you as a manipulative figure in my life, my mother stood firm and resolute. She did not waver. Mother defended not only your character but also the truth, and that truth is that you were the only one who ever loved me without the desire to possess me. You granted me the space, freedom, and breath I so desperately needed, which I regrettably interpreted as distance. However, I now understand that was love in its most authentic form. Nothing can diminish that truth, neither my ex, my insecurities, nor even time itself. If you are still listening, please understand this. I'm not inviting you to return, I merely wish for you to know that, irrespective of whether that ever happens, you have transformed me permanently. If this marks the conclusion of our shared narrative in this life, I will dedicate the remainder of my days to honoring what we had. I will defend you, as I ought to have previously. I will safeguard your name, your memory, and your heart, even from my own missteps. I wish I could illustrate how the atmosphere in my home shifted following that crucial conversation. Everything that once felt cold began to mourn the warmth you exuded. My room, once alive with your laughter during our late-night calls, now resembles a tombstone signifying the demise of a love I buried myself. My mother did not merely offend you, she resurrected your essence with her words. She reignited your spirit within this space. Her voice reminded me how you could soothe my anger, stabilize my turmoil, and how you never abandoned me, even when I was a tempest unworthy of your patience. Perhaps this is why her defense struck me so deeply, because I realized I was meant to be the one defending you. I should have silenced every lie and every distorted account of our story. I should have been your voice in the places you were ignored. Instead, I allowed my silence to speak volumes and my absence to create misconceptions that were never accurate. But I vow to you now, with every fiber of my being, that this will not happen again. When my ex attempted to dismiss our connection as a mere mistake, my mother countered, "No, you were the mistake. She was the miracle." It was as though the entire room paused, breathless. In that moment, she was not merely protecting you, she unveiled the truth I had evaded for too long. You were my miraculous encounter, a once-in-a-lifetime gift, my answered prayer, and I had foolishly treated you as nothing more than a mere chapter when you embodied my entire narrative. There is something sacred in how my mother now recounts you, as if she's reminiscing about an angel who graced this home and left behind traces of light. She utters sentiments like, "She would have made a wonderful wife," and "I felt peace in her presence," which strike me to the core, for when a mother perceives the woman her son lost as divine, it transcends mere opinion, it's a reckoning, a truth that cuts deeper than anything else could convey. Perhaps this was always meant to be, a reckoning, a dismantling of every falsehood until only the reality remains. And you, my dear, are the greatest reality that has ever touched my life. Your love, your selflessness, the unwavering support you offered even when I was undeserving, embodied grace in human form. I disrespected that grace, but no longer. Because if there is one lesson I've absorbed, it is this: some people are not brought into our lives to test our loyalty but to reveal it. I have come to a painful yet liberating realization, one that encompasses the truth. The real test was never whether I could love you, that came as effortlessly as breathing. The challenge lay in how I safeguarded that love, how I honored it amid confusion, ego, and external pressures. And, regrettably, I failed the most critical examination. Yet, amidst my failures, God utilized others to reveal what I should have expressed myself. My mother did what I lacked the courage to do. She proclaimed your worth aloud with such conviction that even my ex's bitter words fell silent. I need you to grasp this. When my ex began to recount every moment we shared, manipulating them into something sordid, I sat there paralyzed. Not from agreement, but from shame, ashamed that someone who never truly knew your essence could be so audacious. Meanwhile, the one who had truly connected with your soul remained silent and passive. My mother became the advocate I should have been. She dismantled every insult like a sword, stating, "Don't you dare diminish her. Don't you dare distort the love that girl gave him." I witnessed it, and she was the reason for my very healing. In that instance, I crumbled because she was right. I was healing when I had you, my heart was finally beginning to learn trust again, and my walls were gradually crumbling. Yet, I permitted someone embittered and broken to convince me that love relied on logic, that emotions required validation, that soulful connections must adhere to a checklist. But your love was never rooted in logic. It was birthed from something much deeper, something ancestral, something divine. I now remember how your presence could transform a room, how you didn't even need to articulate a word to make others feel acknowledged. My mother shared something unforgettable with me last night. I miss her energy more than I miss your happiness. That shattered me because even she understands that you were my happiness. You were the light I misguidedly tried to diminish, believing I was unworthy of it. But now I comprehend. I understand that your love wasn't happenstance, it was a calling, and I shamefully turned my back on it. And if you are listening, if these words somehow reach you amidst this silence, please recognize that regardless of what comes next, your name will remain sacred to me. I will speak it with reverence and protect it from malignance. I will carry it with honor. You were never simply a person I dated, you were the one who reawakened parts of me I thought were lost forever. You were the blessing I failed to cherish, yet now I know how to shield what is sacred, even from a distance. Following that conversation, profound silence enveloped me. Not emptiness, but a fullness, filled with realizations, unvoiced regrets, and memories that echoed through the corridors like a ghost I could no longer ignore. My mother did not only defend you, she humbled me. She made me recollect that I had everything and allowed it to slip through my fingers as if it were easily replaceable. But how can one ever replace the woman who instinctively understood the language of my soul without formal lessons? You were the sole person who knew how to quell the storms I conjured, the only one who stood firm when I withdrew into silence. You leaned in, remained present, and whispered, "I'm still here," while the rest of the world recoiled. I let you believe, even if just briefly, that you weren't enough, that there was something amiss in the way you loved me. In reality, your love was the most sacred gift anyone ever bestowed upon me, but I was too fragmented to accept it without attempting to shatter it first. I now recognize that love requires no defense when it is genuine. It defends itself through time, memories, and the manner in which people speak of you even in your absence. And they still do speak of you. Just last week, my brother asked, "Do you think she ever really left?" I had no answer. Because you haven't left. Your scent lingers on the sweater at the back of my closet. Your laughter resonates in my mind with every meme that triggers our shared amusement. Your touch remains in those silent moments when I close my eyes and yearn to return to what we once were. My mother, who has known my flaws more comprehensively than anyone, remarked, "You weren't the man she needed you to be. But perhaps now you can become him." That insight has taken residence in my very being ever since because she is right. I wasn't prepared. I was not whole. I loved you from a place of fear rather than surrender. I recognized forever in your eyes yet flinched, questioning my worthiness. But now, I know that true love doesn't knock twice. If I am given the opportunity to stand before you once more, this time I will not ask for a second chance, I will seek a lifetime. I have ceased to justify myself to others. I no longer attempt to condense our love into something comprehensible for others, for I finally understand, some matters exist to be felt, not explained. And God, I felt you in every heartbeat, in each moment I contemplated surrendering and remembered how you believed in me even before I had faith in myself. That profound love etches a mark on one's heart that time cannot erase. What weighs on my mind the most, my dear? It is not the disagreements, the time apart, or even the way our relationship ended. Rather, it is the profound silence that ensued afterward. Those days when your name lingered just at the tip of my tongue, only to be swallowed down like poison. The nights when my fingers hesitated over your contact, as I reasoned that you would not wish to hear from me. Amidst all this, my heart continued to call your name with every heartbeat, aching to express the words I lacked the courage to deliver when they meant the most. My mother, she sensed it all, the bravado, the quietude, the insincere smiles. She understood. When she peered into my eyes and softly asked, "You loved her, didn't you?" I could no longer hold back. I broke down right there in the kitchen, tears streaming down my face like a child. Not due to weakness, but because I finally confronted the truth I had long sought to avoid: I love you. I still do. Losing you shattered a part of me that may never fully mend. She told me, a love like that only returns if it is meant to, and those words have lingered with me ever since. Because every fiber of my being is hoping that perhaps, just perhaps, we are destined to reconnect. Not to relive the past, but to forge a new narrative, one marked by less fear and more honesty, one where my love for you is expressed boldly and without apology. My mother recognizes this now. Initially, she believed you were just a phase, a lesson learned. However, after my ex attempted to portray you as a villain, and she witnessed the anguish on my face and the tremor in my voice, something shifted. She remarked, "Anyone who loves you with such patience and depth was never the issue." In that moment, it felt as if someone finally acknowledged you as I always had, like a beacon of light in a world intent on keeping me cloaked in darkness. If you are curious why I am sharing this with you now, it is because I can no longer pretend. I cannot continue to walk around as though you have not transformed every part of me. You deserve to understand that despite the efforts of others to skew the truth, you were defended. You were safeguarded. Not just by my mother, but by my very soul. For no matter what anyone says, I know the truth: you are the best thing that ever happened to me. There is something sacred in witnessing the person you once concealed become someone everyone finally comprehends. When my ex exposed everything, our late-night calls and those images of us joyfully entangled became a narrative impossible to ignore. I had feared my mother would be disappointed, thinking she might advise caution. Instead, she whispered words that will remain with me for eternity: "If this is what love looks like in its rawest form, perhaps this is precisely how love should be." That realization dismantled every barrier I had erected. She saw your messages, she read the words where you expressed, "No matter what happens, I will always be proud of you." She recognized your encouragement for me to pursue my dreams, even at the risk of losing you. Then, with tears brimming in her eyes, she said, "I have never witnessed someone love you the way she did. Do not allow this world to convince you that such love is disposable." Since then, I have found it difficult to sleep because, for once, I felt truly seen. More importantly, I felt as if someone finally recognized you for who you are, not a mistake, not a phase, not a threat, but a woman of exceptional grace and depth that appears only once in a lifetime. And that, my dear, is what pains me the most, not merely the loss of each other, but the regret of not fighting harder when the opportunity presented itself. Allowing fear to win when love stood before me with open arms. I once believed love was about preserving safety, keeping things hidden behind locked doors and private conversations. However, I have come to understand that true love is not meant to reside in shadows. It should be proclaimed, celebrated openly in the light. Even when it is inconvenient, even when it bears risks. Because if love does not embody courage, is it even love at all? So here I am, bare before you. The truth is out, and my family is aware. Instead of shame, I find an unexpected sense of tranquility. At last, I need no longer conceal you for the sake of simplicity. Perhaps this is the moment to begin anew, not seeking permission from the world, but from you, if you will still have me. If only I could share my thoughts with you for a fleeting moment, you would comprehend the turmoil I have endured since everything was unveiled. My ex believed she was exposing you, digging up dirt, but in reality, all she did was sow the seeds for truth to flourish. And when those truths emerged, when screenshots and old conversations cycled through as ammunition, I did not falter. I did not shy away because, for the first time, I stood up resolutely to say, yes, that is the woman I loved. That is the woman I continue to love. It felt like a battle, my dear, not one fought with fists or raised voices, but through silence and glances. You could hear hearts shattering as the reality dawned. My mother absorbed every word, every image, every drop of my ex's bitterness. And when she finally spoke, her voice unwavering, she refrained from characterizing you, she did not question my judgment. Instead, she simply asked, why would you walk away from someone who could write such heartfelt words to you? Why would you release someone who prayed for you in secret? I was left speechless. Because in that moment, she was not only defending you but was also healing me, awakening me from the slumber I had mistaken for survival. My mother, who once questioned your place in my life, gazed at me with tears in her eyes and said, you pushed away a blessing, and now I understand that too. I swear I do. That night marked a turning point. Now, every glance at my phone holds a different significance. Each message you ever sent feels sacred. That "good morning" text you would send is worth trading countless days just to relive again. Each time you expressed pride in me, despite the world's neglect, it resonates in my very being. The hardest part is that I believed concealing you was an act of protection. However, in truth, I merely deprived us of the brightness we could have embraced together. You were my precious angel, my secret refuge, the one soul that never treated me as too much or too complicated. You recognized the mess yet still deemed it love. And I allowed others, individuals who lacked knowledge of your spirit, to refer to you as forgettable. I remained silent for far too long. But that silence has now been buried with my fear. From this moment forth, every utterance I make will proclaim your name with the utmost reverence. You are not just a fragment of my past, you remain my benchmark. You are not merely a fleeting moment, you are a miracle I never deserved, yet one I continue to hope for. My brother remarked on how remarkable it is that you never fought back. You allowed my absence to speak volumes more than any argument could. I simply stared at the ground, acknowledging his truth. You were not required to shout or plead, your absence spoke for itself, resonating louder than my pride ever could. Perhaps this is where I cease being a coward. Where I finally begin to speak the truth, not only to you but to all who ever doubted you. Perhaps this is where the boy who broke your heart evolves into the man who safeguards it. Not through deception or half-truths, but through actions, through transformation, through unwavering devotion. The most ironic part, dear, is that after all this revelation, all the exchanges of messages, and all the glances across the dinner table, there is a profound silence. Yet, it is not the alarming quiet of yesteryears, it is a sacred stillness. A calm that resembles surrender, where truth has finally swept through the space, leaving only honesty and accountability in its wake. In this serene silence, I hear your voice, not the one from our last argument, nor the tearful one, but the voice you used when you were still my love. The one where you would send me images of sunsets, saying it reminded you of me. I hear the laughter hidden within your goodnight messages. I hear your heart in all the subtle nuances. You always had an uncanny ability to sense my anxiety, even when I masked it well. You never demanded perfection from me, you simply wanted my presence. Public acknowledgement of our bond was unnecessary for you, your only desire was authentic love from me. Regrettably, I let you down. I kept my feelings concealed, not out of shame but from fear, fear of what openly loving you might do to the delicate image I strive to maintain. The version of myself that everyone assumed had it all under control. Yet, what value does such an image hold if it jeopardizes losing the one individual who truly understood my soul? In retrospect, it's clear to me how you always made space for me in your life, even when I offered you so little. You constantly illuminated my darkness, even during my most depleted moments, all the while hoping no one noticed the depth of my need for you. Yet, here we are, and the entire family is aware. My ex revealed it, my mother overheard, and my brother confronted me directly, asking, was it all true? To which I replied, yes. Without hesitation, I affirm, yes, because I am finished hiding. I am done prioritizing my pride at the expense of your peace. You were never a secret, you were my guiding star, my refuge, my unacknowledged hope, the one I should have embraced rather than barricade. Now that the truth is out, now that those around me have witnessed how you genuinely loved me, I can finally breathe freely. But I do not wish for this to conclude in mere exposure, I long for it to mark the beginning of redemption. I want those who once judged our relationship to see how I honor you now. I want them to observe my transformation, not for their validation, but because you deserve to be celebrated openly. No more whispers or justifications, only commitments, only honesty, only reality. If it takes winning you back step by step, would walk barefoot on shattered glass to prove my devotion. I yearn for you to recognize that I am no longer the man who lost you, I am becoming the individual who would never risk losing you again. I can still recall that night on the call when you shared, "I don't care if the world knows. What matters is that you understand my feelings are real." I nodded as if I comprehended your bravery, but I didn't. I failed to grasp how courageous it was for you to love me so openly while I opted for silence. I didn't understand the toll it took on you to believe in me when I struggled to believe in myself. Yet now, in the aftermath of the revelations, clarity has emerged. I see the distinction between being liked and being chosen. My ex appreciated the notion of who I could become. The world admired the facade I projected. But you opted for the man behind the facade, the flawed, bewildered man who couldn't promise the universe but offered what meager truth he possessed. Still, it fell short, for I did not safeguard you as I ought to have. My mother's words struck a chord. She said if she had received the kind of love I read in those messages and I hadn't fought for her, I wouldn't need an enemy, I would be my own. And baby, I recognized that I had been. I had been thwarting my own future. I allowed voices unfamiliar with our story to drown out the voice that prayed for me nightly. I allowed fear to stifle the profound connection that many seek their entire lives. And I apologize. I regret allowing the chaos to overshadow you. I regret making you feel your love needed to be diminished to fit into the quiet corners of my turmoil. But no longer. I am constructing something anew, not with bricks of guilt, but with pillars of truth, honesty, and accountability. I want you to know that if you return to my life, there will be no more locked doors. No more whispers in the shadows or excuses muttered under my breath. Only space, space for your voice to resonate, for your love to flourish, for your light to shine freely. Because if love does not make you feel seen, it is not love at all. And you, my dear, deserve to be truly seen. I have deleted past conversations, not to erase the memories, but to forge a future that doesn't rely on recollections to affirm your value. I long to create new experiences, to substitute past pain with present love. I want to hold your hand openly, not hidden away, but confidently, a promise that needs not be whispered again. If you still believe in second chances, if there exists a flicker of light within you that recalls how I once embraced you and kissed you as if time stood still, then let that light guide you back to me. Because I vow, this time, I will meet you with complete openness, with nothing left to conceal. It's remarkable, isn't it? Among all those who could have defended you, it was her. The same woman I anticipated would be disapproving, the one I worried would never comprehend my affection for you. She stood against the tumult and exclaimed, "Let her name never be disrespected in this house again." In that moment, something shifted inside me, something profound, something irrevocable. It felt as if you triumphed, for after all the silence, the furtive glances, and the hushed whispers surrounding your name, your truth now possesses an advocate. You are no longer the girl I sheltered in secrecy, you have become the woman my mother respects openly. That realization ignited hope within me, suggesting that love may still find its way back to us. I have realized that truth possesses an extraordinary power to reveal what lies beneath the surface. My ex did not merely recount events, she detonated them like grenades, attempting to shatter the connections I discreetly fostered in your name. She believed that such revelations would destroy me, that my family would be ashamed. Instead, the truths she sought to weaponize became seeds of understanding. Now my family looks upon me not through the lens of judgment, but with curiosity and quiet acknowledgement, finally recognizing what I had been too fearful to reveal. They saw the affection in my gaze, how I looked at you with the world seeming to melt away in your smile. After everyone departed, my mother leaned in and whispered, "I don't think I've ever seen you so genuinely happy in any other photograph." I was moved to tears because, indeed, those moments were my essence. They were the days when I could be my authentic self. I often ponder why I did not protect this sooner. Why wait until someone else voiced your name before I mustered the courage to proclaim it proudly? The answer lies in shame, not shame towards you, never that. The true test was never my capacity to love you, that came as naturally as taking a breath. The real challenge lay in how I protected that love, how I respected it amidst confusion, ego, and external pressures. Unfortunately, I fell short in the most significant evaluation. Yet, in my shortcomings, God employed others to convey what I should have articulated myself. My mother, in her unwavering conviction, did what I lacked the courage to accomplish. She declared your value out loud, silencing even the bitter words of my ex. It is crucial for you to understand this. When my ex began to recount our shared experiences, distorting them into something seedy, I found myself immobilized. It wasn't from agreement, but rather from shame, a shame that someone who never truly grasped your essence could be so audacious. Simultaneously, the one who genuinely connected with your soul remained mute and passive. My mother became the advocate I should have been, dismantling every insult like a sword, insisting, "Do not undermine her. Do not distort the love that girl gave him." I witnessed this, and she became the catalyst for my healing. In that moment, I crumbled, for she was correct. I was healing while I had you, my heart was finally beginning to relearn trust, and my defenses were coming down. Yet, I allowed someone embittered and broken to convince me love was contingent upon logic, that emotions demanded validation, and that soulful connections must adhere to a checklist. However, your love was never grounded in logic. It emerged from something far deeper, almost ancestral, something divine. I now recall how your presence could illuminate a room, how you didn't need to speak to make others feel valued. My mother shared something unforgettable with me recently. I miss her energy more than I miss your happiness. That insight shattered me because even she recognizes that you were my happiness. You were the light I mistakenly tried to diminish, thinking myself unworthy of it. However, I now understand. I recognize that your love was not a mere coincidence, it was a calling, one that I, regrettably, turned away from. If you are listening, if my words somehow reach you in this silence, please acknowledge that regardless of what lies ahead, your name will always be sacred to me. I will utter it with reverence and guard it against malignance. I will carry it with honor. You were never just someone I dated, you were the one who rekindled parts of me I believed were forever lost. You were the blessing I failed to appreciate, yet now I know how to protect what is sacred, even from afar. Following that conversation, I was enveloped in profound silence. It was not emptiness but a fullness, filled with realizations, unspoken regrets, and memories that echoed through the corridors like a ghost I could no longer ignore. My mother not only defended you, she humbled me. She reminded me that I had everything yet allowed it to slip through my fingers as if it were easily replaceable. Yet, how can one ever replace the one woman who instinctively understood the language of my soul without formal instruction? You were the only one who knew how to calm the storms I stirred, the only one who remained steadfast when I retreated into silence. You leaned in, stayed present, and whispered, "I'm still here," while the world outside recoiled. I let you believe, even if momentarily, that you weren't enough, that there was a flaw in the way you loved me. In truth, your love was the most sacred gift anyone has ever given me, but I was too fragmented to embrace it without attempting to destroy it first. I now realize that genuine love requires no defense. It defends itself through time, memories, and the way people speak of you even in your absence. And indeed, they still speak of you. Just last week, my brother inquired, "Do you think she ever really left?" I had no answer, for you have not left. Your scent lingers on the sweater at the back of my closet. Your laugh echoes in my mind, triggered by every meme that reminisces our shared joy. Your touch remains in the quiet moments when I close my eyes and yearn to return to what we once had. My mother, knowing my flaws better than anyone, remarked, "You weren't the man she needed you to be. But perhaps now you can become him." That insight has settled deep within me because she is right. I wasn't ready. I was not whole. I loved you from a place of fear rather than surrender. I recognized forever in your eyes yet hesitated, questioning my worthiness. But now, I comprehend that true love does not knock twice. If I am afforded the chance to stand before you again, I will not ask for a second opportunity. Instead, I will seek a lifetime. I have stopped justifying myself to others. I no longer attempt to condense our love into something palatable for them, for I finally grasp that some experiences are meant to be felt, not explained. And God, I felt you in every heartbeat, in every moment of contemplation on surrender when I remembered how you believed in me even before I had faith in myself. That profound love leaves a mark on one's heart that time cannot erase. What weighs most heavily on my mind, my dear? It is not the disagreements, the time apart, or the manner in which our relationship concluded. Instead, it is the profound silence that followed. Those days spent with your name resting just at the tip of my tongue, only to be swallowed down like poison. The nights when my fingers paused over your contact, reasoning that you would not wish to hear from me. Amidst it all, my heart continued to call your name with every heartbeat, yearning to articulate the words I lacked the courage to express when they were most significant. My mother, she sensed everything, the bravado, the quietude, the insincere smiles. She understood. When she looked into my eyes and gently asked, "You loved her, didn't you?" I could no longer contain myself. I broke down right there in the kitchen, tears streaming down my face like a child. Not from weakness, but because I finally faced the truth I had long tried to evade. I love you. I still do. Losing you shattered a part of me that may never fully heal. It was shame towards my own inadequacies, my inability to step into the man I was meant to be under your complete love. I was too small to shoulder the weight of such divine love at that time. I didn't know how to embrace something so sacred without trembling. Yet now, following the tumultuous journey of learning and forgiveness, I no longer tremble. I reach out, I remember, and I rebuild. I want to gaze into your eyes and assert, I am not afraid anymore. I am not afraid of judgment. I am not afraid of what may go awry. I am not afraid of loving you openly. For when the world became aware of us and I anticipated chaos, what actually crumbled was the illusion. What remained was a profound clarity. You were always the truth I failed to claim. But that ends now. That is the woman who embraced me during my unlovable moments. She taught me that tears need not be a sign of weakness but rather a gesture of reverence. She looked beyond my silence and tenderly acknowledged the parts of me that I kept hidden. If you were to enter the room today, I would rush to you without a moment's hesitation, disregarding any onlookers. I would take your hand, draw you close, and whisper softly, I am ready now. Ready for everything, the healing, the challenging conversations, the rebuilding. After all, if we have already faced the fire, what more is there to fear? The ashes signify only that there remains a foundation for something new, something genuine. So, if you are still listening, still pondering, still hoping, please know this: you have never left my heart, not even for an instant. Each time I enter a room, I scan it in the hope that perhaps you will be there, arms crossed, eyes gentle, awaiting the words I should have uttered long ago. Indeed, these are the words that should have manifested long before this storm reached your doorstep. Not as a request or as a strategy to win you back, but as a truth that has finally settled within my chest. I am sorry. Not in a superficial, convenient manner that people often use to mend fractures, but in a profoundly vulnerable way that conveys, I now perceive the damage I have inflicted, and I feel it within every fiber of my being. I apologize for the times when I allowed fear to silence me at moments when love beckoned me to speak. For those instances when I caused you to question your worth because I was too cowardly to acknowledge my own. For the days I left you suspended amid your prayers, clinging to someone unprepared to hold you in return. But now, I see you. I recognize the unwavering faith you held for me, even when I offered every reason for you to walk away. I see the strength in your vulnerability, the wisdom in your quietude, the fire within your patience. I honor that. I honor you. No one has ever loved me with the depth and sanctity you have. You cherished not only the aspects of me I took pride in but also the fragments I considered irreparable. You rendered the broken sacred, and I fail to express how profoundly that impacted me. So, if there exists even the slightest space within your heart, a fissured threshold, a flicker in the darkness, a whisper of possibility, I will not enter with the haste of my former self. I will linger at the threshold and earn my place. Not through flawless words or emotional speeches, but through steady presence and unwavering commitment. I will show up, not only during the easy moments but especially during the trying times, when your thoughts spiral into doubt, when your spirit trembles with fear. I will be there. Not to remedy you, but because loving you has been the most transformative experience I have ever known. This time, I will not retreat. Not when storms emerge, not when uncertainties arise, not when your love confronts me with revelations I have yet to fully comprehend. I now recognize that love is not measured by grand gestures, but by who remains when the silence grows heavy. It is in those who remember your cherished song long after you've parted. It's in those who continue to pray for your peace even when they cannot hold your hand. And my love, I have never ceased praying for you. This time, I commit to staying, not to claim you, nor to rectify the past, but to walk alongside you into whatever future you are willing to forge with me. Brick by honest brick, day by sacred day. And if you are still listening and still hoping, know this: I have never ceased to love you. Not for a moment. If you have journeyed through this message, I trust that your heart has resonated with what I've expressed. In the silence, the tears, the regrets mingled with realizations, you have heard my soul reach out, not merely through words, but through the ache of everything left unsaid until now. The longing, the love that remains undiminished, it is all encapsulated in this confession. Should this message have stirred something deep within you, if it feels as if it was crafted especially for your journey, please do not allow it to conclude here. Comment "I forgive you" if your heart still embraces the possibility of second chances. I remain steadfast in our potential if love persists within your spirit. Alternatively, comment "strong" if these words resonated profoundly with your path. Remember, this is not merely a video, it is a sacred moment, a healing space, a sign. Should this message have brought clarity to your heart, please like this video. Seek more messages for your healing, as your soul deserves to hear the truth. Share this with someone who needs affirmation that their love, pain, and silence are significant. This is your space, your healing, and we stand together, one message at a time. I look forward to the next shared moment.